Hello. Good evening. I have some empty chairs in the front. Empty chairs in the front, anyone? We can't leave them open. We can't leave them open. Deanne says she'll give you the ugly eye if you don't come up and fill up these chairs. She's going to give you a hard time. Good evening, PubTalk. How are you? Oh, I'm so glad 3 of you are in a good mood. Oh my God, thank God for PubTalk. I would have no idea what month it is. It's really good to be here. Truly, I always look forward to this event. This is such a great community, and I always look forward to seeing each of you and spending this time together. So thank you for being here. We have an awesome lineup. My special thanks to Silver Moon Brewing for letting us take over, and also to Stellar Realty Northwest next door for the elbow room. If you're looking for the snacks, Chicken Strut Spread is next door where the check-in was. The show is streaming over there, so if you need to go get another plate of food, you won't miss anything. So thanks to the Hand in Hand team for making that happen. And I'm so happy to be hosting tonight. Our PubTalk MC is OSU Cascades. Thank you, OSU Cascades. Yesterday was OSU's Damn Proud Day, a 24-hour friend and fundraising event. Our OSU Cascades campus here in Bend focused on supporting student scholarships. Not only do scholarships increase access to higher education, but they also help create graduates who are the next generation of innovators, entrepreneurs, problem solvers. With over $40,000 raised in one day. $40,000 raised in one day. Community members, alumni, parents, faculty, and staff all came together to land OSU Cascades in the top 10% in amounts raised all across all funds at OSU. So way to go, Central Oregon. Thank you. You should be proud. And congratulations, Ben Beeves. I hear we have some guests tonight from the Student Run Business Club. Welcome to PubTalk. Erin Riley says, go Beavers. Don't hold it against her. Should we get to it with the director's minute? I know I'm dying to hear about month 4 from John Stark. What do you have for us, John? Where are you? 4 months in. I'm feeling good about this check-in. What do you got?
Can you hear me now? Oh, yeah. Can you hear me now? What's up, PubTalk community? Woo, in the house. All right, so we've been talking a lot about like a bunch of hires, right? We got a little bit of that still, but how about some other news, right? So how about air service? So most of you know that Edco does a bit of work to make sure that we have the right resources for businesses to thrive and grow here. So one of the things we do is we're involved with the Central Oregon Air Service Team, which is made up of the Bend Chamber, the Redmond Chamber, Central Oregon Visitors Association, Visit Bend, Redmond Airport, or RDM, and then also we have a consultant, heavy hitter consultant through Mead and Hunt that helps us by consulting on how to do air service development. And so we meet with the airlines about 2 to 3 times a year, all the airlines that serve Redmond and future airlines that could serve Redmond. And as you know, we've had some changes out at the Redmond Airport. We're seeing a lot of activity post-pandemic with people flying and so forth. But we just came back last month from an air service development conference where we met with all the airlines. And there's a theme that's occurring quite substantially, and that's pilot shortage. Most of you know that it's hard to find employees today. It's happening in your businesses, but pilot shortage is an extreme issue for most major carriers and several regional carriers that serve our airport. And really, it's largely the reason why we lost the trip to Portland. There are no pilots to fly that route right now, and it's not likely to return anytime soon, unfortunately, unless we can find some pilots and create them out of thin air. The good thing is that there is some pilot training going on at the Redmond Airport through a group called Hillsborough Aero. So I just want to make sure that folks know that, yeah, we did lose that service. We will have conversations at every air service meeting 2 to 3 times a year asking for that service and advocating for it back, while we also pitch for new service. When I say pitch, much like pitches up here, has to make good financial financial decisions for them to do that, as well as has to be a right market decision. So there is some good news. We continue to work on Dallas-Fort Worth. We received a small community air service grant to help incentivize Dallas-Fort Worth. We're optimistic that we might see something like that in 2023. We are seeing also some interest in possibly Boise. That's something that will have to materialize over time. We have seen some of the flights that we started more recently to Denver, as well as to Burbank, very well attended. So we've had really good passenger traffic there. And then we're also hoping to restore service to Phoenix Mesa and Las Vegas in the fall. Again, it's very much passenger driven on these items. And then we're also looking at potentially some additional flights because of passenger demand to Denver and to San Francisco. And so again, I just want to reiterate, the challenge today is different than it's ever been. We've had pilot shortage. At one time it was aircraft shortage. So some of the routes for smaller airports that were served by smaller planes are phasing those smaller planes out. Now it's really about pilot shortage. And virtually every airline is facing that. So I know it's kind of a tough pill to swallow with losing PDX, meaning our residents have to either drive over there or they have to fly up through Seattle. But we'll be certainly, rest assured, be asking for that service back, and hopefully we can get it back as soon as humanly possible. Okay, so on to a couple of newbies, new hires, not so new. We're welcoming back Megan Bolt. So she has been, some of you know her from working with us through some of our entrepreneurship events. She's a former OSU grad, you mentioned that. She's also a former collab intern and entrepreneur, former BBC volunteer with Edco. She's a dog mom to Carver. She's a wicked fillet artist. She fillets fish, for those of you fishermen in the audience. She is a wicked fillet artist. And if you saw a video of her, you'd be like, I'm backing up with that knife flying like that. So we're really excited to have her back. She's new to a marketing coordinator and administrative assistant position, which is a new permanent position that we've had kind of on our wish list for years. And so we're super excited to have her. Ring the bell for Megan. We're glad to have that new position on board. So super excited there. And then lastly, we wouldn't be right if we didn't use our own services. So I want to thank Youth Career Connect. That's our internship program that we partner with East Cascades Works to deliver. We have 2 interns starting, one of which is just about to start in a day or so ago, actually. She'll be here next week. We'll introduce her more formally. And then a second intern that will be starting hopefully in the next month or so. Those interns really help with Edco operations, but also help to put on events like PubTalk, the Ben Venture Conference, and the annual Luncheon that's coming up very soon. Some of you have seen invites to that. So we're still adding folks. That's exciting. We need them, and we get to have those people carry some of the batons that put on big events like this. So that's my director's minute that just went 3.5 to 5 minutes, and I'm sorry for that, but all relevant information. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Don't
Thanks.
be sorry, John Stark. Don't be sorry. It's important information. I learned from Damon Runberg yesterday at PNSAA's Mountain Works that actually it's a problem of there being too many job openings. There's more job openings available right now than there was in 2019. Look it up if you don't believe me, it's data, okay, which is kind of like science. Also, no direct flight to Portland. That's such a bunch of bunk, and I just want to plant a seed. Commuter train. Commuter train. Commuter train. Don't you shake your head at me. It's just a dream, okay? I'm just collecting tips. All right, thanks, John. Keep up the great work, and so excited to have Megan Bolt with us. So we're able to host PubTalk tonight, both in person and virtually, thanks to our generous event sponsors. You know this is one of my very favorite parts of the night. So first up is Chris Dupont, VP Commercial Banking Team Lead, Columbia Bank. Come on up, Chris. You're welcome.
There we go. Is that working now? All right. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all again. Testing. There we go. A little bit closer. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Dupont. I'm the commercial team lead for Columbia Bank here in Central Oregon. We cover from Madras, Redmond, and Bend. One of the exciting things that I want to talk about tonight and introduce, I know he's here somewhere, Jason Mooney has come over to join our team last week. So we're super excited to have him join us. He kind of fills in a nice little void in our team that we had, rounds us out nicely. We're building a pretty good thing with him on the team, with Trevor, with Skylar. I know a lot of you kind of enjoy Skylar's jokes that he's been telling in my absence. And, you know, one of the things he told me is I have to tell a joke, so I'm not the best at that. But does anybody know why Irishmen make the best bankers? No? This is really cheesy, but it's because their capital is always Dublin. Told you I'm not the best. Not the best. So a little bit of financial advice. You know, one time I was told you want to build your bank account to be about the size of a telephone number, and then you can comfortably retire. Well, when I got $9.11, I looked at that person and said, well, this is a real emergency. So as far as jokes go, that's all I have. I hear a few laughs, so it must have been okay. But other than that, come see us at Columbia Bank. Would be happy to help you answer any needs. I do see Jason just walk through the door, so everybody tell Jason hi. And we look forward to hearing the sponsor or the event tonight. Thank you.
You did great. Open mic night, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that. It was great. All right, next up, Brad Garrigus, Chief Sales and Underwriting Officer, Providence Health Plan. Brad, where the heck are you? I missed you, Brad. Welcome back.
Thank you, Shannon. Good evening, everyone. Providence remains a proud sponsor of PubTalk and Edco, more generally speaking. I don't have much in the way of an update for you right now because in the insurance space, it's relatively slow, not always that way. We're in the process of, as most of our competitors are as well, filing our products and rates for next year. So here in a month or two, I'll have more of an update for you. But in the meantime, we're proud to still be the highest rated PPO plan by NCQA in Central Oregon. We're also proud to be the only 5-star Medicare plan in Central Oregon. And in most cases, we're also the lowest cost insurance plan in Central Oregon. So with that, have a great evening, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad. Always nice to have you here. Okay, let's see here. Erin Mcdonald, partner at Best & Krieger. Erin, where are you? I think she's on video, yes? So I should probably move.
Hello, PubTalk. My name is Erin Mcdonald, and I am the managing partner of the Bend office of Best & Krieger. And as you may already know, Best & Krieger is a national law firm with practices and specialties in the areas of business, employment, environmental law, energy law, telecommunications, public financing, the list goes on. My particular practice is in estate planning and tax planning and charitable giving. And I'm here tonight as a sponsor of PubTalk, just to say welcome to all of you. We've been privileged to be a supporter of PubTalk for a very long time, first as Carnot Peterson and now as Best & Krieger. And so I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'm sorry that I'm missing you in person, but we will look forward to seeing each other next time. Take care.
Thanks, Erin. Always nice to see you. Okay, next up, Edco's IT Solution, Jordan Smith, President and CEO, VLOX Systems. Jordan, I saw you a second. There we are. All right.
Thanks. I tried to get in position so I can get up here quick. What are we going to do without the lawyers in the room? The virtual, miss those guys. Yeah, my name's Jordan Smith. I am the CEO of VLOX Systems. We're an IT services provider for companies here in Central Oregon and throughout the state. So we provide, we become the IT department for our clients. So huge thank you to PubTalk Edco for putting this on. We'd love to be here, love to sponsor, love you guys, see all you guys. Come and join and enjoy the food and the drink. So we are, in the space of ensuring like cybersecurity. The thing we do the most right now is either terminating employee accounts or creating employee accounts. So we feel the personnel changeover that I'm sure we're all experiencing very much, and we're having a really kind of a good time, I guess, a fun time for us anyway, helping our clients kind of figure out how to do that smoothly. So if you guys are in that space, certainly talk to me, let me know. We'd love to come up with a plan with you guys for that. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over and get out of the stage.
I'm told it's April, but your beard looks very wintry, so now I'm very confused.
Sorry. I don't know.
Don't be sorry. It's great. It's shiny. It's looking good. I'm just like, is it December or what? I don't get it. Thank you, Jordan. Always nice to have you here. We have a crowded stage tonight. Also, appreciation for our next door neighbors, Atlas Law Group and Francis, Hansen, and Martin, for letting some of us park in their lots after hours tonight for Pub Talk. Appreciate it. Did you know that Edco is a membership-based organization? Director of Membership Heidi Hausner has been hard at work with the following new members: Danielle Gates Real Estate, Direct to Air, Fairway Independent Mortgage, John Hart's The Partners Group, Camera Group, Molt Brands, Mountain View Law LLC, Northwest Business Development Association, Profit and Purpose, Sarin Bioscience, 10 Over Studio, the Northwest Collective, the Tiny Watt Solar, Transworld, Business Advisors of Central Oregon, Uptech Studios, Vistage, and an upgraded membership from Meta. Is that the Meta? Wow. I'm gonna get a second soda water tonight. Okay, good work, Heidi. If you want to hear your name at Pub Talk or learn more about Edco membership, the lifeblood of Edco, hit Heidi up. She does an amazing job. Virtual attendees, listen up. On the right side of your screen, there's a chat bar. Just type your questions and comments in there, and they will find their way to me. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us tonight. And for those of you here at Silver Moon, you'll raise your hand. And if you're hanging out near the food next door, there is a mic over there for questions as well. Just don't turn it on and then just breathe into it. Make sure you use it for questions. We really appreciate that. Okay, on to tonight's companies. The company update tonight is provided by supporting sponsors. BBSI is honored to partner with Edco and the other sponsors to make Pub Talk possible each month. We have a full team of seasoned professionals offering payroll, HR and recruiting, risk and safety, and business consulting services to help you get out of the weeds and focused on your business. We've been here for over 20 years and are ready to help you when you need us. Happy spring from your Central Oregon BBSI team. And Sensiba Sanfilippo, SGA CPAs is merged with Sensiba Sanfilippo. Merging with a larger firm increases resources for our clients and staff beyond our current capacity. We will continue to operate as we always have out of the Bend office with the same staff in place. We will now just be operating as Sensiba Sanfilippo SSF. And we have confirmed that they have all survived tax season, so that's great news. Since taking the Pub Talk stage virtually in April of 2020, Puffin has managed to increase top-line revenue and headcount even with the pandemic headwinds. They are in the process of refreshing their brand and have created a sustainability and community impact department called Good Together. President and founder Tyrone Hazen is here to tell us more. Come on up, Tyrone.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the intro. Hi. I'm Tyrone Hazen, co-founder and president of Puffin Drinkwear, and this is actually my third time on stage, but it is my first time as my second time for the same company, which feels really good. It feels like I've been successful at something. I get to get up here and give an update as opposed to just, hey, here's a new idea I'm going to try. As Shannon mentioned, I was, I think, one of the first cohort to give a presentation at the beginning of COVID pandemic, so we did so virtually, and it's really nice to see a crowd again. Can we get just a quick round of applause for there being crowds again? That's really awesome to see faces in person. So at my last presentation, we had just finished up our 2019 year, and we had closed the year with, I think, $275,000 in sales, and we were at between 5 and 6 employees, depending on the day. And then introduced COVID, and that was a really fun time for everybody, especially small businesses. With those headwinds, we still managed to grow at a rather unprecedented rate that I'm really proud to share. So We did 2 million plus in sales in 2020, and then we did over 5 million in sales last year, and we're looking to double that yet again this year. We are currently at 19 employees here in Bend. We have 4 additional full-time employees overseas, and then half a dozen contractors that are mostly local that work with us on a very regular basis. So we have grown in all of the ways you can imagine, and it's been great. So that's where we are now, but looking forward, some really exciting things coming up. Previously, we were known as Puffin Coolers, so we've kind of going through a brand redesign right now, and we are known as Puffin Drinkwear, and that's W-E-A-R. Get it? Drinkwear? Yeah, right? So we feel like that fits kind of the general theme that what we're bringing to the table here is we make apparel for your drink. And one of the other really fun things that we're doing, we've got, in addition to that, we've got kind of our version 2.0 products, and we've increased or improved the interior lining, which allows us to do embroidery. We just got a 6-head embroidery machine delivered last week for customization that allows us to reduce lead time as well as minimum order quantities for customization. We've also got this nice kind of siliconized base, so increases perceived value and actual value of the product. So a lot of fun things happening there. And then, like I mentioned, or was mentioned in the introduction there, we have launched an initiative that we call Good Together, and that's kind of our sustainability and community impact department. And we actually had a launch just last week. Our kind of coming out party was at Open Space, and we worked on behalf of Think Wild, a local nonprofit organization that does wildlife rehabilitation. And so we worked with them over a handful of months. We presented a film to kind of help them expose the mission that they're working on and how people can help them. And so that's kind of the thing that we're working on now moving forward. We'll be doing a lot of co-branding efforts we've got a lot of major brands that are working with us discussing kind of bespoke products that will represent them and their identity, as well as it allows us to partner with nonprofit organizations and actually tie their mission to one of our silhouettes. So, for example, we're working with the concessionaires for the Kennedy Space Center at their request, and we've got these cool little spacesuit things coming out. That's coming out later this year. Yeah, thank you. We definitely we're looking into licensing will be a big play for us in the coming years. So you can imagine, all of your favorite sports teams having gear for theirs for tailgate parties and things like that. So that's kind of where we're going. Like I said, we're gunning for 8 figures this year, and we're just scratching the surface, if I'm being honest, way beyond what I ever thought would come of this. But we use as a proxy a company called Funko Pop. If you know of them, they make little bobbleheads. They did $800 million in sales last year. Who thought you needed that? So we like to use that as a proxy for selling the identity products that we sell. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Tyrone, it's amazing.
Thank you. Should I stand here? Am I talking to you?
Yeah, you're fine. I'm so proud of you. This is insane growth. I'm just wondering if you have any plans to do like fancy oversized cardigans. I'm wondering if that's on the...
We might be able to whip one of those up. Huge
Okay,
market.
well,
Huge
we can
market.
talk. Yeah, no, they really are.
It is.
So what has been like I know you're like kind of shocked by your own growth in a way. Like what has been kind of the thing that was most exciting or like...
Yeah, I mean, the growth is incredibly exciting. Be careful what you wish for, however. Growth is really challenging. And again, you stack major growth on top of a seasonal business, on top of a global pandemic with supply chain issues. It's been really challenging. So I don't grow at this pace, if I can recommend anything. In the long run, it'll be worth it, but it's a very heavy lift right now.
I bet. Yeah, that's a lot. Well, and so how have you been managing it then? Like expanding the team slowly, like?
Yeah, we have an incredible team. Like we definitely have the right people on the bus, and that's one of the benefits of being in this community and why I moved here in the first place is the support of the entrepreneurial spirit. And there are incredibly talented people that we've been able to pull on board. And so we kind of stacked the deck really high initially, and we brought in a lot of people to manage from the top and build the teams below them rather than trying to figure out, you can't figure this out on the go. We needed to bring people in that know their department and then they can fill out that department. So that has helped us stay afloat currently.
As
of today, we're still afloat.
I'm really impressed, and I'm like feeling for you too, because you're like, oh, I had this like little idea, and now it's like this huge monster. And you're like, is your life feel quite different because of this, or?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I started this business, and I thought I would sell 500 a year. This was an attempt for me to learn how to build a small business and put a team to place, so that the next idea that came through the door, I would know who to contact and who to plug in to help me sell another 500 of this other weird unit. Like I said, I've been here before with other weird units. So that has been, it's beyond anything that I ever thought that it would be. And I dream big, but this has eclipsed that by far. And there's a lot of room left.
It's really cool. Okay, any questions from the audience for Yes.
Are you looking for investment dollars and partners?
Are you looking for investment dollars, partners to help you scale and grow?
Great question. Not a general solicitation, but we are actually imminently opening a funding round, our first. We've been bootstrapped to date, and definitely with the rate of growth that we have and with the visions and the ambitions that we have, we're looking for runway to go get us there over the next couple of years. So yes, absolutely.
Oh, it's so exciting. Great question. Thank you. There was another one here. Yes.
You said you've been here before. I'm just curious, how many other failed ideas?
How many other, quote, failed ideas have you had? Ones that weren't as successful.
Yeah, to be sure, like this is the most successful by far. Every day is a new day for me. So I've had a number of things that I've tried, and it got to the point where I sold a couple, and my parents thought it was interesting. Or I did a thing that I was up on stage for previously called the Fireside Audio Box, and I had a successful Kickstarter, and I got a first round of product produced and out the door, and then decided that was the liability there was too high. And so this one is the one that's leading me tip of the spear to the experience that I'm having as a quote unquote successful entrepreneur. And I'm not at all successful at this point, but the growth is there.
So as a kid, were you always coming up with something to sell or an idea or?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I have a 9-year-old son, and he's always got the next big thing. He's I'm gonna go sell dog toys at the park. I'm like, yo, that's a great idea. We should do that. And so I'm trying to do that. So yeah, same thing. I've always been, again, more of a front end, more of a tinker. I like to create the ideas, and so I didn't ever think that I would run a small organization of 20 plus people and millions of dollars being pumped through. It's wild.
No, I know the word millions when you're talking about dollars, and they're you're responsible for them. You're
right.
Oh, okay. So, do we have another? I think we have a time for yes.
How do you select what channels you go to market with?
How do you select what channels you go to market with? Thank you.
Love it. Yeah, and I don't know if this will answer the question, but people look at this and think, oh, you must kill it on direct to consumer, and you must do these all things through your website. And we actually made a strategic decision very early on, which has really paid off, which was to go the retail route first. People ignore that, and it was actually Mike Wallenfels, who I think I see right here, who gave a talk at one of these years ago that was talking about the size. You hear about the growth of DTC, but what you don't hear often is that is still the total size of that market is like a golf ball and compared to the size of a basketball for retail. Retail stores still exist. Brick and mortar is still a place to move product. And in addition, that allowed us to get our IP in place over a couple of years without exposing ourselves too much to everybody overseas that is just watching Kickstarter and watching all these sites to find the next thing to grab and just pump out. So we went the DTC route, and we went gift first, and then we've worked our way into the outdoor markets as well. So I hope that answers your question, but grab me if not.
I just really want the NFL to pick this thing up.
We're working on licensing.
And then at the same time, I'm like, did I just curse you? I don't know. But it seems like that could be really a very cool experience to just...
Yeah, we have some licensing consultants that we work with, are working with, and that's a long-term play, and there's a lot. That's a really spiky problem to deal with because you've got to bet up ahead of time which teams are going to do well and what do you do with what's left. And so we need... That's the thing I'd ask for. We're in addition to some funding, we're looking for really smart money or smart people without money that know about the licensing world in a really in-depth way. And then the other thing that we were looking for is someone to help us clean up kind of the financial house. And that goes all the way down to the actual hiring of kind of maybe senior level staff accountant, something along those lines. So I outsourced accounting 6 months ago, and that was a bad idea. And so I'm still reeling from that. And we're right back to where we need to make another decision about how we're going to do that. So from the accounting side of things, would love any advice or help somebody in the crowd has.
Do we have one more question? Yes, all the way in the back.
Where can we find you?
Where can we find you, the
love that
product, I'm assuming? Because
question.
he's right here. But yeah, where can we find these?
I get the best margin if you just come directly to my website, puffindrinkwear.com, and that's, again, WEAR.com. But we're in, 3,500 stores nationwide already. So in town, you can get us at the Bend store, you can get us at REI, you can get us at Mountain Supply, Hello Sunshine in the Old Mill, Newport Market. So there's quite a few places here in town as well.
Are you having fun?
I am. It's stressful, but there are
I'm
days
like a
like
little
this, and
worried for you,
sometimes
but are
it's
you having
really
fun?
exciting,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's like, what have I gotten myself into? Yeah.
Well, it's great to see you here. Great to see you in person. I'm really proud of you, and we're totally rooting for you. So I hope you'll come back and give us another update soon.
I will. Thank you so much. Appreciate it,
Tyrone.
everybody.
You know, it's a special night when I find a way to work in the NFL. I don't know anything about the NFL. All right, thank you so much, Tyrone. It's so good to have you here. Tonight's first company pitch is sponsored by COAR. Also, I do want to say I have like 7 seats up here. If any of you chatty Cathys in the back want to take a seat at the front of the class, right here is a good spot. Yes, please come forward. COAR joined the Central Oregon Association of Realtors at Encore Awards to celebrate those who have contributed to the real estate profession and their communities. The awards event will be held on May 25th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the River House. For more information about the winners and to purchase tickets or tables, visit coar.com. Tailgate Industries was started by owner-designer Jeff Parks from the back of a truck while packing the essential gear for a backcountry ski trip. With a background in product design, Jeff explored ideas on how to design and sew a better protective case for soft goggles and began creating the product. He then handed them out to his friends, and Tailgate Industries was born. Jeff moved the business to Bend in 2010, and the products and capabilities of the company have expanded. They look to enter new markets, build more relationships, and create great products that solve the unmet needs of the outdoor enthusiast. So join us on stage, Jeff, and tell us more. And I'm going to help you get your setup going here. So. Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Doing great. Great to see everybody tonight. Thanks for coming out.
Okay, so we're going to move this forward, I guess, yeah? There we are. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Take it away, my friend.
Well, good evening. Hear me? Good evening. My name is Jeff Parks, and I own Tailgate Industries here in Bend, Oregon. If you're not familiar with this, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we're a soft. All right. So again, yeah, my name is Jeff Parks, and I own Tailgate Industries here in Bend, Oregon. We're a soft product manufacturer working in the outdoor industry with a focus on the winter backcountry market. So you can find us online. Tailgate Industries is at www.tlg8.com. Feel free to go there and check it out. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about who we are, how we got started. We got a little bit of an intro there. Thank you for that. But yeah, Tailgate Industries got started on a crisp Montana morning while prepping for a backcountry trip. The idea for a lightweight, low-pro case came up as I was pulling my goggles out of my backpack, full of gear, all scratched up. The conversation started, why not make a lightweight, low-pro case, something to take care of the goggles while they're in the backpack with all their gear. So I don't know how many of you do backcountry or spend any time out there, but your typical backcountry backpack is loaded with gear. You got shovels and saws and probes in there. And so all those with a pair of goggles in there is pretty damaging to the lenses. So with that said and done, and armed with a product design degree and a sewing machine, the prototype started rolling out. Yeah, we handed them out to friends, got a ton of feedback, went back, refined them. And from there, the Niner goggle case was born. This was our first product right here. And this kind of checked off all the boxes for us as a product. So we were looking for something, as I said, lightweight, low profile, and above all, protects your lens. Superior goggle protection here. So this little guy here weighs in at 3.2 ounces. It is constructed with a bunch of soft and robust fabrics. This is one with a goggle in. So this bottom holder here is made of a Spandura, soft and stretchy there. We use a ABS shield on the front. And then we have a 4-way stretch tricot hood, holds everything in place. And I'll just give you a quick little demo. All right, so you can still hear me. So this is the hood right here, and we do make this hood out of recycled materials, 4-way stretch. Your goggles fit in just like this. All the goggle cases are lined with a plush microfiber fleece on the inside. Slide them in like that, glove-friendly, Spandura pocket. We also have an extra pocket here for a lens wipe. So this guy was pretty great. And being in the backcountry at that time, more and more people were wearing helmets. And so our Gondam goggle cover came right away, pretty quickly. Also, looking at the design and considerations there, we felt like keeping an open back design was best. This way the strap could go around the helmet, just like this here, so you can see what's going on. So open the back design, so it protects the lens still, protects the goggle, but people were leaving their goggles on their helmet. So in transit to the trailheads and in your transitions doing backcountry, it was great. People would leave their helmets on their head, low-hanging branches. You have in transit in the car, throwing it around. Yeah, you have everything hanging off the backpack. So that was a great one as well. So this all started in 2008 in Montana. We moved the business to Bend in 2010. In that time and up till now, the industry has grown. Goggles have grown as well, goggle sizes and options. So our range of goggle cases did as well. So as I just described, we had the Niner goggle case. We've added 2 more to that. So we have the Niner goggle case. We have the Niner XL as well. So this is an oversized case designed for all goggle types. Has a pocket on the inside, and that's what XL stands for, extra lens. So this can handle the interchangeable lenses that are out there. So this is, if you're familiar with the goggles, this is a Smith I/O with an extra lens in there. You can see how it packs down real well. It's still nice and light, easy to fit, packs anywhere. And that was the whole purpose behind the design, that the product wouldn't take up much more space than the actual goggle itself. So easy to pack your sunglasses in as well. Fits in your pack, fits in your pocket. So the Niner goggle case, the Niner XL, and then we did the Niner MX too. So we've been dabbling in the snow sports industry or the power sports industry with moto, dual sports, snow machine, and snow bike. So as far as markets, we wanted to cover across the board most goggle wearing athletes and activities. So with the growth there in the goggle line and the goggle protective line and our soft cover, our shop has grown as well. So we operate out of a 1,200 square foot shop south of town. We have 10 machines currently. We do all our manufacturing here in Bend. It's pretty great. It's been great for the past couple of years. No supply chain issues there. I feel for these other guys. And we've also brought in custom printing. This has been real valuable to the business as well. So we work with a number of businesses, retail, brick and mortar, guiding services to nonprofits. So this helps us work with them. We do what is called a collaboration program, or a collab for short. This allows us to print the business, their logo on our product. We can sell directly to them, and they can sell the product with their name on it. This deepens the relationships not only with community and nonprofits, but it's allowed us to work in a capacity to help raise money for avalanche centers. And this has been a big focus for us too. So locally, we've worked with Coavi, which is great. We work with the Baker Split Fest up in Glacier. To date, we've raised over $70,000 for the Northwest Avalanche Center up there, just as a nonprofit, donating product and doing fundraisers. It's pretty great. Scaling the business for us and going forward, our business model right now is a lot of direct-to-consumer with some small wholesale accounts and business-to-business. We are looking to scale our product and go into other markets. And so, as I mentioned, we've been working in power sports a bit. We work with Giant Loop locally. And we are looking to outsource some of our manufacturing, but keep everything here made in the USA. This will open up things for us and give us a little more potential in expanding the brand and keeping our custom collaboration business here in Bend, which we're also pretty excited about. So in retail, since we started, we work with retailers throughout North America, up in Canada, East Coast to West Coast. Here in Bend, we work with Crow's Feet Commons, Shearshaw's, Mount Bachelor, Moto Shop, and Giant Loop, just to name a few. Since we started our business, we've also gotten a lot of product reviews, which has been great for the business, as well as word of mouth. As I mentioned, we work with a lot of professionals, professional guides. Our product reviews over the years have come from mostly backcountry sites. And so we've gotten reviews from Outside Bozeman, Off-Piste Magazine, Backcountry Skiing Canada, WomenSpecific.com, Open Air Life, Splitboard reviews, just to name a few there. So they all give us high marks on our product, which is great moving forward for function and durability. And then with the business and scaling, as far as moving towards a model that can handle more volume as a business, we are also involved with the Bend Outdoorwox and Opportunity Knox here in Bend. Pretty excited to be a part of both those groups. We found those to be very instrumental in helping us grow as a brand. And with that, that's it. I'll sum it up pretty quick.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So Jeff, this is going to shock you, but I don't do the backcountry, and I'm just wondering if you could expand on other applications where you might be looking to kind of build into, because I'm seeing lots of ways this could be helpful for people who wear any sort of protective lenses, really.
Yeah. The gears are always spinning with us, no doubt about it. Even behind the machine, we got a shop full of ideas. So with the backcountry market, it's been great, and we'd like to branch out more. The goggle cases aren't just for backcountry users. They can be for anyone, really. So if you're going on a trip or just looking for goggle protection, all these are great. As I mentioned, we're doing more with power sports, and we'll be working more with them, Moto Dual Sport, this summer. We'll be at the Giant Loop Ride at Crystal Crane. Looking forward to that. And then also, we've been looking to get more into mountain bike. There's a lot more mountain bikers out there wearing goggles. So we will be at the MBO, Mountain Bike Oregon in Oak Ridge, also in June.
I like to hang 100 yards behind Grandma when I'm on my mountain bike, so enjoy the scenery. Anyhow, enough about me. Were you at the PNSAA trade show yesterday?
No.
My friend, I gotta hook you up. This is like, what? How were you not there? Okay, yeah. Really, this is truly incredible. So I'm sure we have questions in the audience. Anybody have a question for our friend Jeff? Wow.
Wow.
Yes. Did you have to patent the design?
Yeah, that's a great question. IP is always a consideration when you go into business. Our business is small and bootstrapped. We did invest in some IP. I trademarked the name Gondom because it's brilliant. It tells you exactly what that product's going to do. There's no question, right? No confusion on that one.
No tiny goggles showing up.
Yeah.
But a very slim chance, yeah.
Yeah. We did file for, or we tried for a utility patent on that product as well. That's a tough one to get. So as a business and working in soft products, I've found over the years it's better just to be innovative and stay ahead of the game.
Yes, Deanne. What's the price point?
Oh, yeah. Great question. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, so the price point. So again, everything here is made in Bend, Oregon. So our Gondom goggle cover, our price point is $20.
Wow.
Yeah, real reasonable.
I mean, I could get that without even needing to use it, Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Not only does it protect, but it extends the life of your goggles.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And 30 to 35 for the goggle cases.
Okay, very cool. Any other questions? I thought there was someone else. A hand was creeping. What's your Yes.
I love your logo, but can you explain it?
Yeah.
Can you explain the logo?
Absolutely. Another great question. Yeah. So again, like I mentioned, so Tailgate Industries, we started the business off of Tailgate in Montana. So the logo is fashioned after a cattle brand, actually. So our domain name is tlg8.com. So you can see the T up here and the L the G and the 8. So in Livingston, Montana is where the business was founded. It's a rural ranching community. So we just took all the elements there of our domain name and put it into our logo. Yeah. And with that said, just to talk about the names too. So the Niner Goggle Case, the county code for Livingston is 49. So it explains that one too, where the Niner
Anything
name.
called Niner, I'm in. You know,
Yeah.
just it's a Niner, Niner. Give me the Niner. Just give it to me. Yeah, I want that. Yeah. What other? Yeah, were you going to explain another one of the names? No, just the Niner. I mean, it does speak for itself. What are you most excited about? What's to come, Jeff? This is so cool.
Well, being a part of Bend Outdoorwox, they're keeping us hustling. So in the next 3 years, we're definitely looking to scale the business, bring in more accounts. As I mentioned, we have a custom program, which is great and growing. We have a lot of product ideas in the shop just waiting to come out. So those will probably be launched in the next 3 years or so, just kind of evaluating the markets. As a business, we focus more on the innovative end. So, like I said, being behind the machines and creating products that solve problems is where we're focused mostly. And once you get into the materials and everything, it's sky's the limit with materials. So we work with recycled materials as well. This Niner Goggle Case, for example, when we originally started, it was 100% post-consumer recycled plastic for the shield. That resource dried up, unfortunately, so we're using an ABS. We source that locally. I have a local company make those for us. Cool. We do work with recycled textiles, though, as well. And all these are made with recycled textiles, and we're able to print that as well.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah. A round of applause. I mean, Paul Everett, come on. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, this is really something special. I think we have time for one more question. Yes. Where do you get those recycled textiles from? There's a guy down the road.
Yeah, I know a guy. Yeah, I can give you that information if you're looking. So the recycled material, we source it from, there's a business down in California we source it from. So the material is called Reprieve. It's from a business called Unify.
California, nice.
They're close.
Okay, well, I hope that you will come back and give us an update. This is so cool.
Absolutely.
Please get in touch with Jeff and find out more about what they're doing over there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, please go on to our website. You can jump on our social media and like us, follow us on our social media to see what we're doing, what we're up to.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
All right, thanks.
Another round of applause for my friend Jeff. Excellent pitch, Jeff. Excellent pitch. You did great. That was, I want it. I want the Niner, Paul. I'm gonna put it on my Christmas list. All right. Tonight's second company pitch is sponsored by Ben Broadband, who is honored to be a continued sponsor of PubTalk and proud to be a part of the Central Oregon community. Did y'all know that Ben Broadband has a business referral program? I've talked about it a couple months now. I'm wondering if anyone has participated. You can get rewarded for each qualified business that you refer. Go to benbroadband.com/business for details and to make your referrals. It's side hustle, y'all. Get that side hustle going. Okay, next up, ESPLORI is a Bend-based van conversion company focused on bringing people together around shared experiences. Starting in 2017, founders Brian Bates and Colin Clark set out to redefine the adventure van market, making a lighter, recyclable, highly durable interior for vans. Today, they make their products available to anyone through their do-it-yourself installation program. No more endless searching for build ideas or ever-expanding time to completion. Their interior kit is a 40-hour at-home install that lets you hit the road. I'm told that vans are a big deal in Bend, so get on up here, Brian and Colin. We're excited to hear from you.
Are we on? Oh, yeah. We've got a few people positioned in the audience for us. And Jeff just killed it. And as you can tell, I'm on the Opportunity Knocks with him and then Bend Outdoorworks, but he's just a hell of a nice guy, too. So definitely check out his stuff. We're good? All right. So I'm Brian, and this is Colin, and we're the founders of ESPLORI. As was said, we're a van conversion company here in Bend, Oregon. And we started about 5 years ago, looking to kind of improve the market. And so we thought there were a couple problems that we saw with the market, and had a few experiences around it. So it's funny how we met. We met at a neighborhood park with our kids and started chatting. And as parents, we started having conversations about the trips we take with our kids, as we would. And in Oregon, you do a lot of outdoor activities. So I did a lot of camping, Colin did a lot of rafting. And in these conversations, we realized these experiences were really very unique. You couldn't have them sitting in a hotel room. You're sitting around a campfire and you're telling stories and you're out in nature. And there were just these experiences that were kind of able to shape our lives in a better way. And so at one of these meetings at the park, we'd both just taken two different, kind of very different trips, but we're talking about some of the challenges we had. So I had a travel trailer and a truck, and I towed it kind of around the Pacific Northwest and did some camping. And it was pretty good when we got there. I mean, we had all the things we wanted with us, but the experience of the travel trailer wasn't great. You know, towing a vehicle, you're not gonna stop in downtown Portland or some other locations. You need to kind of know where you're headed. And then the travel trailer is something I have to store, so I have to bring this to the house the day before. It wasn't the kind of thing where we spontaneously headed out on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock when we decided to go somewhere. And so that just seemed like kind of a hassle. And Colin's experience was a little bit different, but kind of some of the same problems.
Yeah, so, you know, other end of the spectrum, but back in 2013, almost exactly 9 years ago, my family and I were living in the Denver area, and we wanted to visit both sets of grandparents. We had folks in Michigan and we had folks in Washington, and 3 kids, not quite 1, 2, and 4. And you start doing the math on what would have been, you know, 10 round-trip tickets and boarding the dog, and, you know, you're up over $10,000, and that's 2013. And my wife's here, but I don't care who you are, $10,000 to visit your in-laws, it's expensive. It's expensive. So we put all 3 kids, the dog, strollers, you know, what are those things called? We don't use anymore. Car seats.
Car seats, yeah.
In the car. Drove, and we did 7,000 miles, 38 days, 15 states. So we were both working from home, and did that whole trip. So the nice thing was we got to visit Ben during that time, and that's how we ended up here. On the other hand, you know, we took everything we pretty much needed, but we weren't very comfortable. So, conversely to Brian, not comfortable, but had everything we kind of needed and had a smaller vehicle.
Yeah, so they got to play Tetris, putting all the bags in, and we had more room, but weren't very kind of agile. So we kind of ended up with 3 problems. We wanted something that was easy to prep. You can get going, get out, don't have to plan a way ahead. We needed to be able to take all the people and the stuff you wanted, but do it comfortably. So if you need to take some mountain bikes and some skis, or you want to go visit family, it needed to be able to hold things comfortably. And then as we looked around the market, like RVs were being built with the same technology for the last 20 years. It's this like thin plywood with a lot of adhesives, and some of it's even stapled together. And so we just didn't think the quality was up to where it should be in the current time period. So we set off to try to bridge this gap and find the sweet spot between the current RV market and the agility of a minivan.
Yeah, so we knew we wanted to make something better. We didn't want to be different just to be different, though that can be cool too. So we wanted it to be easy to reproduce. We wanted to have it easy to install, and we didn't want to add a bunch of weight to the vehicle. We figured, I mean, based on our experiences, if we could come up with something like that, it, you know, might be something people liked. So, you know, how do we go about that? So the first thing we did was eliminate the tanks. So we don't do permanent water tanks. You don't have to winterize. You don't have to treat them. You don't have to dump them, et cetera, before or after going on trips. We also simplified and integrated the electrical system. So it charges while you drive. You just turn it on and it works. So what we also did with the entire kind of design was an open layout. And that was important to us because we wanted people to take what they wanted and not force a bunch of stuff into it that they may or may not need that took up a bunch of weight and space. So we did that by using some specific spots in the van for secure and safe mounting points. And so people can configure the van basically however they want to. The last thing was that we chose the Mercedes Sprinter because at the time it was the only four-wheel drive option, but it was also the highest quality of the big kind of Class C vans available. And we wanted to have products that were commensurate, if not higher quality than the vehicle they were going into. So we decided to make the entire interior kit out of aluminum. And aluminum has some great advantages. So number one, it's almost 50% lighter than the traditional sort of plywood, carpet, foam model. It's more sustainable because it can be recycled. It's fireproof. It's easy to clean. And then the powder coating that we use doesn't off-gas at all. And so anybody here who's got a new car or had a new car and enjoyed that new car smell, it's not great for you. Those are all the chemicals coming off that new product, and so the powder coating is not it's not like a paint. It doesn't off-gas like the carpets and things, and so we've curated some specific colors to go with a variety of van colors. But our customers can upgrade. If you can think of a paint color, you can pretty much have any powder coat you want, which increases sort of the custom nature of what you can get. Versus the sort of auto carpet and plywood model that only has 5 to 10 options. So we started as a custom conversion company, and custom work is, if not impossible, pretty slow to scale. It's also geographically specific, so your customers have to find a way to get to you. And we kept going to all these shows and events and talking to DIYers and other upfitters and customers and people who'd even built out their own vans. And the common theme was, hey, how can I get this as a kit? And so we'd already spent the last 4 years doing the work to figure out where all the mounting points went in the van. So providing this to somebody else was a pretty easy progression. And then it was really natural to take this from a custom conversion business to providing an interior kit that could be shipped anywhere and installed in about 40 hours without the help of a professional. So we're proud to say that our kit is higher quality, more durable, more sustainable, and we think more beautiful than any of the other options on the market.
Yeah, so tonight we're kind of proud to have the opportunity to announce 3 distribution channels, if you will. So we're going to do the direct-to-consumer model. You'll be able to order this from home, pick the colors, and have it shipped directly to you for install. We'll have a full set of installation videos to walk you through this, and we'll provide phone support for anybody that needs a little bit of help. We're also going to do a B2B model, so we'll be working to set up a installer network. There's an enormous amount, over 250 that we know of right now, van conversion companies that are very small that we talk to at these events that wish they had a basic interior that give them the flexibility to then build out custom vans the way they want to. And with this kit, they get a great return on investment. They can have pretty entry-level employees install it, and it gives them a really nice platform for that. And then we're going to continue to do factory installs here in Bend so we can keep a close touch on our customers, connect with them, do some product development around it, and still be really close to the products that we're making. So that's pretty exciting for us right now, working with Bend Outdoorwox to try to see how we do this and how we do it well with the current kind of supply chains. But we're lucky enough to produce all of our products in Oregon at this point and hope to be able to do that in the future. So tonight, we don't really have any big asks, but we do have a couple of vans outside. So if you want to take a look, we'll be out there, and come take a look at the van and see what the product looks like. We'd love the feedback. If you're around town and someone says, these vans are really cool, I'd love to have one, mention ESPLORI. We'd love that. We'd love to talk to people. We get as much information out of the folks that choose to work with us as we do customers that just come in and kind of tell us what they're looking for. So it's beneficial. And then kind of lastly, if you're in sales or marketing or want to build vans, we're hoping to scale this year. So we're looking to hire, and we'd love to talk to you as well. So we'll open up for questions, and thanks for the attention.
This is so fun. The phrase big classy vans, am I right? What a time to be alive. So, but for real, is it only big classy vans, or could we get an old funky one and then do an install on it?
No, I think Colin said it's a Class B van. So it's just the vans are Class Bs, the larger RVs are Class Cs, and this is kind of a niche within that Class B market.
I feel like you could
sense.
partner with some of the companies that are looking to hire people who can't get anyone to move to Bend because there's no houses. It's like, now we just need a guy with a parking lot.
Yeah, that's actually a thing.
We have one of those.
Yeah,
sitting
he
in the
works
bar.
for us.
This guy over here, he has a
Yeah.
parking lot. Axel, you have a parking lot? Why didn't you mention that when I met you earlier? You should always. Oh, he lives
Yeah.
in his van. Got it.
And he used this opportunity to get his title raised.
Yeah.
He's now the chief installer. So
Amazing. Good for you, Axel. And his name is very on brand as well.
absolutely.
Wow, that was so corny. Okay, how did you come up with the name?
I'm going to let Colin explain that one.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so much like you try to do with your kids, we tried to come up with something unique that wasn't weird. We're not sure we succeeded, but it actually, ESPLORI means explore in a language called Esperanto. Esperanto is a completely made-up language. My wife doesn't enjoy this story, but completely made-up language. It was actually a Jewish ophthalmologist in Eastern Europe who, over the generations, family and friends had moved away. They couldn't communicate. He came up with a language where everybody could talk, and it's actually spoken by about 3 million people in the world. So we thought it was unique without being weird. It means explore. We thought it was cool.
That's wild. What's the accent? ESPLORI. No, that's okay.
It's led to everybody misspelling it, though. So
I'll keep working on it.
yeah.
Questions from the audience. Paul.
Do you have to have short hair, black rimmed glasses?
Do you have to have short hair, wear a puffy vest? Yeah.
That's yeah. You looking for a job?
Is Paul Evers looking for a job?
I know.
My goodness. Okay, any other questions?
Maybe we can
Any
help branding.
In the back, yes.
Yeah.
What did you find were the most common features that people were looking for?
Ooh, I love this question. What were the most common features that people were
Sure.
requesting in custom builds?
Yeah, I think the most common things people are looking for that makes it, comfortable camping is a heater, a comfortable bed, and then refrigeration for fresh food. So those are the three biggest things that we add to almost all of our.
And then what's the most random thing you've ever gotten? And if it's inappropriate, you can tell me later.
We've heard of many things that I probably wouldn't bring up, but I think it's just the unique way people use this. So it's not uncommon for photographers, landscape photographers and others to live out of these. So they're looking for a way to be able to charge all their equipment, videographers as well. So that the battery power, lithium batteries and others have just made that a lot more feasible from a cost standpoint. Cool. But pretty much, if you can think of it, you can do it, but the cost is exorbitant on some of these. So.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm not shocked by that. Is copper jacket one of your powder coating colors?
No.
You should look into it. It's very beautiful. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, sir. Can you help people find a van?
So sometimes we've got relationships with a few of the dealers in the Pacific Northwest, so we usually have a good idea of kind of what they have. It's really hard to get a hold of them right now, and the supply chain for vans is just difficult, but a few people have gotten good luck just calling dealerships and finding one out there.
We can help you find one right in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
The one with the red stuff on the back is for sale.
Oh, that's...
For you tonight, we can talk. There was another question, I think. Right? Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you have the battery that charges while you're driving. Is there a secondary power source if that fails or runs out?
You have a battery that charges while you're driving. Is there a secondary battery in case that one fails?
Yeah, so let's make sure I understood the question. If the battery, the house battery that everything in the back of the van wears out, then is there a secondary charging? Yeah, we can add solar charging. We've got shore power charging, so you can plug it into a household outlet for charging. Those are all options, yeah.
And then I'm assuming y'all are like big van drivers, so you both obviously have like a sick van.
It's in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's in the parking lot. Okay, so that's right. And then you're just like always tinkering around with it. And any special features for your kids?
No.
safe seating. So just because you see a seat in a van doesn't mean that it's safe. So there are actually like USDOT approved seats that you can put in vans, and it's not as common as you would think. So every van that we do that someone asks for a seat, we put safe seating in. So that's the special feature our kids get is safety.
How long is your wait list for you guys to install it professionally through Axel, is it?
Yeah.
How long, what's the wait list like for Axel to do the
We've
install?
blocked all vacation for Axel for the entire summer and booked him most weekends. No, we're actually slowing down a little bit because we've been transitioning from this build model to more of a kit model. So we've got openings probably July, August still at this point that we can slide people into. And then our production, install process has gone from a month down to a week for this kit with some of the jigs and other things that we didn't get into. So with those two, we actually do have a fair amount of availability now.
I have to say, I appreciate so much that y'all are thinking about the toxicity of the product. Like, I had a friend recently buy an RV, and she's like, let's check it out. And I was like, I am gonna have a stroke in here. The off-gassing was like so intense. And some people, it doesn't bother them, but a lot of us, it's really hard. So I appreciate that you're thinking that way. And
yeah, thanks.
It's pretty gnarly. It's very hard on the liver. Yes, there was a question in the back. Todd. What are your plans to expand beyond the Mercedes platform? That's what I'm talking about, Todd. Big old funky monstrosities.
Yeah, great. So I think we've got plans. Obviously, because we engineer all this, there's a fairly heavy lift in engineering and time and product design, but we do plan to move on to the Ford Transit. I think that's the next van we would move to. They also are now providing an all-wheel drive van, which makes it more kind of Pacific Northwest appropriate.
I like to say Pacific Northwesty. Well, this is amazing. You guys are awesome. I'm excited to check out the vans. This is like your one time to go like see a stranger's van, and it's a good thing. So everyone, take a look at Colin and Brian's vans. And please, no, it was really good. You guys are great. Thank you, ESPLORI, for being here. Please meet these guys. ESPLORI. I can't wait to see those vans. I'm sure theirs are very, very fancy. All right, on to our keynote, sponsored tonight by COCC, Central Oregon Community College, provides workforce training that works, from career and technical education to apprenticeships opportunities, leadership workshops to the Small Business Development Center. COCC is the source for entrepreneurial, workforce, and business education services. Find out how COCC can help you develop the customized training you need to take your business and your employees to the next level. Contact COCC's Ken Betchart to learn more, and Ferguson Wellman Capital Management and Westbury Investments, a division of Ferguson Wellman. For more than 40 years, we have designed and managed customized investment portfolios for individuals and institutional organizations. We encourage you to review our blog at fergusonwellman.com, where we have posted our more recent market commentary and wealth management discussions for the second quarter of 2022, including our investment strategy video titled Kryptonite. So if that doesn't tease you into taking a peek, I don't know what will. John Gehrs, had co-founded Pacific Foods in Oregon in 1987, a leading natural and organic foods company that lived its mission every day. Formerly, he served as the company's president of packaged products and led an executive team that grew the company's sales to $250 million in 2017. That year, the company sold to Campbell Soup Company for $700 million, with $130 million of the net proceeds shared with 600 employees. Yeah. That's a lot of van build-outs. Gehrs endeavors to be a catalyst for positive change in the lives of the people he touches through work or personally, and always saw the company's people as its greatest asset. John, I can't wait to hear more about people being the company's greatest asset. It gives me chills. You know where I stand. Come on up here and take it away.
Okay, So I'll start and I'll tell the Pacific Foods story. It's a little dated now because we had a liquidity event about a little over 4 years ago. But I think, and I'll talk about that toward the end, but I think the steps we took along the way are relevant at any time for anybody in any company. And so being able to get up here and share that with all of you, I think is the kind of the most important thing. I had initially told Erin I wasn't really thinking I wanted to do this because it's kind of a narrow spot up here, and I'm a walking, talking, thinking, rambling guy. So when I do meetings like with the employees and other places, I like to walk the aisles and talk to people and look at them. So it's really hard for me right now to be able to look in this blinding light, not see anybody, and hope that I'm getting across to everybody. Usually I can see people's faces and know that they're getting the message or not. So I'll do my best, and we'll see where we go. So we started Pacific Foods in 1987, but prior to that, I'll give you just a little bit of my personal story. I was a public accountant, large Big 8 firm. Did a lot of work with retail companies, heavy, and like Fred Meyer, for instance, was one of my clients, in manufacturing as well. One of my manufacturing clients was Lamb Weston, frozen French fry producer. Now it's ginormous, but at the time it was headquartered in Portland and was probably $300 or $400 million, something like that. One of the people that worked there, VP of Finance, was a gentleman called Chuck Eggert. If any of you know Chuck, he was the majority founder of Pacific Foods, one of the co-founders. And he had worked there at Lamb Weston. That's how we met initially. We lost track of each other for a couple years, came back together, bumped into each other just by happenstance. And he was out investing in small companies with his father-in-law. Called me up a couple weeks later and said, John, would you come over and work with us? We need some help. And that kind of started the relationship with Chuck primarily for about, now it's going on 40 years. He's an innovation kind of juggernaut person. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he's still working away 24 hours a day on different things. So he's a great guy. But we started out investing in small companies, spice company, peanut butter company up in Seattle, a few other things. Didn't start Pacific Foods till 1987. And the way we started it was we had a joint venture with a soy milk and tofu company that failed. And as part of splitting the sheets, we got this state-of-the-art soy milk making equipment from Denmark. Had no idea what we were going to do with it because we were investing in small companies. We were expecting them to kind of do stuff, and we would just oversight them. So we had a couple buildings that we had from a real estate venture we were starting in Tualatin. And we said, what the heck, let's just put the equipment in there and play around with it. So I'd like to be up here and tell you that we had a master plan and a strategy. We didn't. We just started playing with soy milk equipment and making really interesting automated tofu, which probably could have covered the planet. But it wasn't going to be a real good business strategy just by itself. So we looked around and said, what is the market doing? How is it taking soy milk? And it was in these funny boxes that were shelf stable that were made by Tetra Pak. So we said, well, we can have that co-pack, so we sent it to California. So it sent the soy milk to California to where there was a co-packer, packed it up, sent it back to us, and then we sent it out from there and tried to sell it. We figured out pretty quickly, because most of us had accounting backgrounds, that the people that were making the money were the shipping companies down and shipping companies back and shipping companies out. And we were just having a little bit of fun and making a lot of mistakes. So, but when we realized that, we decided we needed to put in our own aseptic packaging equipment. And so the vendor, Tetra Pak, came out, sold us a couple of broken down fillers, and that's how we started into making soy milk products in Tetra Pak packages, aseptic packaging. Good thing and a bad thing. We were one of the only ones in the country that had those packaging machines. So basically everybody in natural foods that did non-dairy beverages came through our facility packing product in a contract packing mode. Good for our cash flow, good for all that. They didn't have the ability capital-wise or equipment-wise to do it themselves. Usually back then in natural foods, maybe it's a little bit that way now, people have a great idea in their garage, but they don't have any money to be able to get it to market or to buy the equipment. We had the equipment. As you'll find out in a couple minutes, that could be a curse as well. So we did that for about 7 years, just kind of starting up and kind of doing that contract packing. Our branded product was only about 10% of what we did. The rest of it was just contract packing. So in 1994, and I can tell you the exact date and time, it was July 31st at 7:30 in the evening, and I can still remember that time, even now. I got a call at home. Chuck had been meeting with one of our customers at a food show who was telling them that they're going to leave us from their contract packing arrangement with us in 6 months. Now, this was a customer who was 60 to 70% of my line time and 60 to 70% of my revenues. And I was going to lose them in 6 months. And we were right in the middle of putting in $5 million of capital expenditure, new equipment, which they knew. They were kind of planning it for when they would tell us that, because what they wanted us to also do was contract pack for them for the next 6 months and not shut them down so that they could get to their new machine. Clever of them. And what they were putting in, what we were putting in, if you remember back, those of you who are old enough will remember the aseptic packages back in the day were the ones you had to open up the ears and cut open. They didn't have caps on the top. We were getting the first capped machine in the United States. They were getting number 2 now, but just as fast as we were. So what that did, we had no choice but to pack for them and lose their volume. So somewhat difficult to take, obviously. This was a situation in natural foods where everybody believed and trusted everybody else. You were out to save the planet together. Your word is your bond. Trust goes a long ways, all yada, yada, yada. And so we learned pretty quickly that that's not the case. And we went through about 2 years of Death Valley, what I call Death Valley, where we struggled. I worried every 2 weeks about whether we could cover that payroll that we had coming up. And we were pretty small at the time, like really small. Still, it hurt to lose them. But what it allowed us to do, there's a silver lining to that, and there's actually several. First thing we did was we spent time thinking about what we really wanted to be when we grew up. What's our mission going to be? What's our core values? What's important to us? One of the things that influenced us was a book by a guy named Charles Handy, and it's The Hungry Spirit. If you guys ever get the chance to read that, you'll find that, and hopefully you'll kind of compare it to my talk, and you'll understand how Pacific Foods used that as one of the foundational pieces for them building our core values and our beliefs. I'm going to just read a little excerpt. This is somebody who's like reviewed the book and just wrote it down because it kind of speaks to what I'm talking about. The Hungry Spirit by Charles Handy, calling on individuals and organizations to find purpose to the journey we take rather than focusing on money and profits, which are simply the means to keep us going. He shows how we can all better ourselves and our companies while also contributing to a decent society. So we kind of wanted to do that. We didn't think at the time capitalism was a bad thing, but we were struggling with how do we bring money into how we run the company, because it's hugely important, but it's just a tool. And we know we wanted to be known for something else. So it helped us to build our core values and beliefs, our mission statement, how we wanted to be looked at out in the marketplace. It also helped us identify our core competencies. We realized that we were actually pretty good at aseptic processing, which is a very exacting process. You can do products that make people very, very, very sick or worse if you don't do it right. And we could do it pretty well. We also knew that we were in a marketplace that allowed a lot of forgiveness. Natural foods was still developing, and you still could do things based upon relationships. So you could actually, create products and try them, and if they didn't work, you could try other ones. It's not so much that way anymore, obviously, for those of you who sell products out into that marketplace, but back then it was. We embraced risk. We could not embrace risk because of what we had gone through. We had to try everything. We were highly innovative. We had a really good R&D staff. We could develop products that were really, really good. So with all that, we started just doing what we could to keep the lights on. We took in limited contract packing, but we knew that that wasn't what we needed to be. We needed to be a brand, and we needed to transition to that. So we developed products. The first one was the chicken broth, which hopefully all of you are familiar with their product line. And if you aren't, you need to look in your pantry because you probably have a box of Pacific Foods chicken broth in there. You just don't know it. Might be a few years old, I don't know, but it's probably in there. But we started with that. It was a category killer. It killed the can. And Campbell's came out with a Swanson's box about the same time. But that transitioned that marketplace to the box and made it very acceptable in the United States and made it not just happening like in non-dairy beverages, which at the time were kind of actually migrating into the refrigerated format anyway. So we needed, and we weren't refrigerated basic. We didn't ship that way. We didn't produce that way. So we knew that we had to do something else with the shelf-stable box, and we went into broth. And then right after that, we went into creamy soups. So and I'll get to this toward the end too. We also experimented a little bit with other people, what I call other people's money or other people's relationships. We had a relationship with Novartis for a while, also with GNC, to try and figure out how do we work together to do products that would help both of us. But at the end of the day, neither one of those worked out because we just had different goals, different interests on how we wanted to go about the things and how we wanted to put products in the marketplace. In 2001, I was given the responsibility to kind of take over the operating company as that lofty title that you gave me, president of the packaged products division, which basically means I just had the operating company underneath me and I got to handle all the problems and issues and employee things and all that kind of stuff. Chuck kind of booted himself upstairs into blue ocean thinking on new product things and stuff like that, and I got to handle the rest of the stuff. In 2001, we switched out our sales function into a classic consumer product goods VP. That helped immensely as we started heading down the branded product kind of pathway. In 2004, added a director of marketing. Prior to that, we just had somebody who was doing package development, package format development. We're not real marketing experts at all. So along the way, we started adding other people, more equipment. We kept adding just a lot of product development. I was trying to remember all the products that we actually produced. And some of those probably you guys have never heard of or seen, but that's okay because there was a purpose and a reason for why we did that. We were doing things like dog gravy, protein drinks, polenta in a box, oatmeal in a box, black beans in a box. I'm sure you probably have seen the bone broth that's out there. That was something that were just experimentally trying, and it actually worked as a major product group for us. So all that was to show customers what we could do. And some of those work, and they stick against the wall, and some of them don't. But it's the whole thing about trying to be innovative and trying to show your end customer what you're capable of doing. So as we grew, we probably grew 10 to 15% a year for about 20 years from 2001 on. And those steps get to be kind of a little bit big when you're trying to fund yourself internally and with bank debt and not with other people's money. We had obviously the opportunity to do that along the way numerous times. And most of our brethren in the natural foods industry got picked off along the way over those 10 or 15 years. We just didn't want to do that. And the reason I say that is just because we weren't about the money thing. When you remember back to the core values development and everything else, it was really we're trying to figure out how to provide products to people that resonate with them and make them think about what they're eating and where it's coming from. If you sidebar to that would be if any of you are Portlandia fans, and you remember the very first, I think it was the very first episode where they were sitting in the restaurant talking about the chicken and naming the chicken, and can we go out and visit him and his friends and see where he lives? We live that. We live that. I would show that at employee meetings and say, our customers are heading here, right? Because it's important for us to be ahead of them and tell them where the stuff's coming from, how we're growing it, what we're feeding the animals. The other example would be that we would do customer surveys about what the attributes are that they're buying against. And animal welfare, probably 15 years before that, was, in the top 25, maybe 20. In the last 3 or 4 years, we pulled it top 3 consistently. And so we needed to know that. We needed to know how, because we eventually started getting into organic dairy farms and raising chickens and humane slaughterhouse and a bunch of other stuff. And we needed to make sure that that whole story was right and was transparent and that the customers knew it that way and that we were open to them about that. So as we grew and we started making those steps and not wanting other people's money involved, you run out of how many rabbits you can pull out of that hat every year. And the brand, which was a great thing for us, this isn't an egotistical thing to say this, but the great thing, the last 3 or 4 years we were there, the brand sold itself. And if your marketing guys are here, don't throw things at me from the back of the room, but marketing was always one of the expenses we cut toward the end of the year because it was a variable expense. And if I wasn't hitting the numbers to make the bank happy, I would go in and I'd say, look, this quarter we're not going to spend as much money. That's just the way it is. And the guys, they still hung with us, which was awesome, but the brand would still sell because it was selling itself. It was so well known and the products were so good. So that was a great position to be in, but it put more pressure on your cash flow and on everything else that you needed to do to kind of support that. And we were wearing our people out. Our people stayed with us, but we were wearing them out. So we talked about that a lot because we never gotten into the company to try and create a big payday. It really wasn't about that at all. And we said we probably need to sell to somebody, but we can't just do a partial sale and stay involved because of all the things we talked about, other people's money. Used to joke with Chuck. I'd meet with him once a week in his office, and I'd say that's our board meeting. 9 o'clock every Tuesday morning, we'd have a board meeting. Just he and I sit there talking about things. But the things we talked about were things like, what kind of products are we going to try this week? Anything interesting? You know, what are we going to develop? What are we going to do with employees? You know, what are we going to do with our culture? All those kind of conversations. And we decided that if we had other people's money in the company, they'd want to be at that meeting. But they'd want to talk about their money. They wouldn't want to talk about those things. Because we weren't trying to make a bottom line. Most of the time, we were trying to spend all of our money down to the point where the bank was happy, and we paid as little taxes as possible. So I wasn't trying to build it up to sale or do any of that kind of stuff, which, you know, you could say it should have done it differently. If we had spent more money on marketing, if we had taken in other people's money, we could have grown a lot faster than we did. But at the end of the day, when we got to 2017, we decided we needed to go out to sell. We did an organized process. We selected the ones we wanted our investment banker to talk to, 12 different companies, all strategic fits, not any private equity or venture capital companies, because we wanted to have it be somebody who could take the brand and nurture it and grow it the way it was, as we hoped they would do. So we did that process. Campbell's was the winner. They paid $700 million for, at the time, $250 or $260 million of gross sales, so about probably a 3x on net sales or so. It was an awesome result for as large as we were and for the market we were in. You could argue how much they paid for us and whether that was the right number or not. I think they did it from the standpoint is they didn't want us on the shelf with a competitor that could actually spend money on the brand and really hurt them. So they wanted to use it as a flanking strategy against other people, which is, you know, then they'd spend the money. So out of that money, we paid off quite a lot of traditional bank debt and leases and just a ton of other stuff. But what's left is, as you shared, was we had about $130 million that we shared with 600 employees and their families. And that, thanks. And people, thanks, but it's like, some people like appreciate that, but I'm saying I'm wired to say I don't know why we wouldn't have done that, right? Because it's like they create the value with you. Why wouldn't you share the value with them? And we were able to do that and share that money and change lives. I mean, people were coming to my office crying about they've just paid off their house or they're putting their first kid into college and stuff like that. And I thought, wow, this is what my life was all about. And I'm still kind of young. I hope that there's still more, but that's like one of the things I can check on my bucket list of something I've done that I think was right for society and good for the planet and all that kind of stuff. So now whether we can argue over a beer later or some other day about whether we think Campbell's is running the company correctly and according to our values, who knows, right? You have seller's remorse at times, but what I know is that we left the employees there a lot better off than when they had walked in the door there, and that was a primary motivation for us. So lessons learned, because I was told I needed to give lessons learned. First and foremost, you might want to think long and hard about contract packing. And if you want to do contract packing for people, have some agreements, right? And that are pretty ironclad. The other reason you want to think about that too is just that it doesn't create value. when you have a brand and you can support brand, you can create value. And the value is like what you saw at the end when we sold the company for 3x revenues. You don't get 3x revenues when you're a contract packer. Plus, you always have the risk of customers leaving you. At least I know when I'm selling chicken broth, I'm selling to 10 million people out there. I'm not selling to one person who's making the decision whether they want to contract pack with me or not. So that would be one lesson. The other one, which I just kind of talked about, is to be brand focused. We had brand attributes like innovation, authenticity, transparency, quality, really good products. Being able to go out and name, you want to go out and pet the cow at our farm, you come out and pet the cows at the farm and see them. I mean, that's how we wanted to be with our customers. So always be brand focused and invest in the brand. The other thing I think I would say is, and this is from a guy you can see his TED Talks, Simon Sinek, if you're familiar with him, and how he talks about developing a why for your company. Everybody knows kind of how you do stuff, everybody knows what you do, but people buy on why you do it. It's a very powerful message. It might be a really good TED Talk if you're not familiar with that, but it helped shape us over the last probably 3 or 4 years before we sold, how we developed a corporate why and how we integrated it into our marketing strategies and stuff like that. But really understanding why you exist as a company. Added benefit, if you really want to take it further than that, is to develop your own personal why and why you exist. And why are you around? Are you just taking up space on the planet, or is there a purpose and a meaning for your life, and what are you doing with it? And why? And we spent time on that. It was pretty gratifying. I did my own why. She kind of told you what it was already, but I also asked most of our direct leaders and managers at the time, out of the 600 people, we had probably 35 or 40 of them, and I asked them to do their why if they were willing. Super cool thing was 4 or 5 of them actually did that, and they sent it to me very thoughtfully in emails about who they are and why they're doing what they're doing. So it's just super cool. You change the world one person at a time, right? And I got 5, so I was pretty pumped. The other thing is to take care of and reward your people. I think that's pretty evident in what we did. And last but not least, I'd probably say to everybody here, when you decide to work somewhere or do something, do it because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. 90% of the world probably works somewhere because they have to get that paycheck every 2 weeks, and they don't foster a why. They don't follow their passion or anything like that. So when I'm mentoring young people and just fledgling CEOs and stuff like that, they're starting their companies, that's what I tell them. Make sure that you're doing it because you want to do it, and it creates that passion for you. Don't do it because you have to do it. Don't do it because you have to. So with that, I'll kind of turn it back over to you. You're going to give me questions, aren't you?
Thanks, John. That was really nice. I felt like I was at church if I liked church. Do you know what I mean by that? That was like really meaningful, like really special. You offered a lot of deep wisdom.
Wait, well, hold on. I'm going to pass the plate then, right? That's part of the service? So.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and I'll take 10%. Okay, so what are you doing now?
So I get the opportunity of being able to mentor, like I said, young and fledgling CEOs and other leaders. I get to work with really super smart CEOs and small companies like Paul Evers with Rift Beverages and several others of those. But I try, my spouse is here, Kelly. She'll tell you if you talk to her that she's trying to limit my time in doing those things to 50% or less, because otherwise I'll just get too busy.
Yeah, good, good. That's really good. Paul's like, I got in, so all the rest of you, good luck. Get on the wait list. Okay, so I don't know if this is a bad question or a good one, but I am genuinely curious. Do you know, can you identify things that have changed after you sold Pacific Foods to Campbell's? Like, obviously there were some things that were so important to you. Can you identify if some of those things are still happening?
Yeah, I'll try a few. I'll be nice about it. So we noticed the same thing with, I'll go back a little bit. When we dealt with Novartis, which is a huge multinational conglomerate, you guys know, we had signed up with them with people from Switzerland. Well, then they downloaded the project. By the time we started to execute the project, there was the distribution people were in San Diego, and the sales people were in Michigan, and product development was in New Jersey. And by the way, the people in Switzerland were gone by the time we started the project, so nobody owned it. And it was just a classic big company thing. It was not mine. They were doing the whole crocodile arms. Pacific Foods? Who did that again? And that's why we got back out of that, right? So what happened, at least at Campbell's, is the people that did the deal, and if you go back into the history of Campbell's, you look at what was going on with them in the year 2018, pretty representative as the CEO left for personal reasons or whatever, however they determined that, right, in April, and this was after they bought us in December. And then right before that, her right-hand person had left. So the people that had done the deal started leaving. And so they obviously had the company. So they brought people in on the type of thing. And so they've done what I affectionately call Campbellize the company. So they'll bring people in from outside to fill key roles. A lot of times not promoting from within, and that's what a big company does. It gets people experience across units so that they can move farther up into the corporate chain and all that. But what it can tend to do, unless you spend a lot of time on it, is dilute the culture and the reason why the company existed and why it was so successful. What I wanted them to do, if they had asked me, by the way, is leave us alone. You've bought it, just let them keep doing what they're doing, but give them money. Give them some marketing money, and they'll grow more than 10 to 15% for you, and leave them alone. But big companies don't do that. So that's just an FYI. It's not just them, by the way. It's every big company I've seen. It's Murphy's Law. They can't not do that. They can't not say, oh, well, we'll make it more efficient in our supply chain. We'll make it more efficient in sales, et cetera, without looking at, well, why were they successful in the first place, and can we not nurture and grow that and leave them alone?
No, now they always ruin it. They always ruin the fun.
Yeah.
Bummer. Well, I do have some of this stuff in my pantry, so I'm going to go take a closer look. Any questions for John from the audience? I feel like there's probably going to be quite a few. Oh, yes, over here. How do you own the means of production if you're a startup? If you don't right now, when do you make that decision?
So it's difficult, right? And I think one of the reasons, or one of the key things is, do you have the money to be able to do that? Number one, do you have the facilities? Do you have the equipment, technology, expertise, and ability to do that? Do you have the people that can do that? There's a lot of reasons to contract pack. A lot of people start out that way, right? It doesn't take people. It doesn't take a building. It doesn't take. I mean, I get it. A lot of companies start out that way, but it means that you're not in control of your own destiny as much, right? So how do you make that decision? You got to look at all those factors, right? Do you have the money to do that? Do you have the technology? Are you going to be able to protect yourself if you are contract packing somewhere else? Because you can do that. I mean, we just didn't do that well. But the silver lining is I'm glad we didn't, because then we really had to force change, and it was a monumental change. There's nothing like going through 2 years of looking into the valley of death every day to really hone your view of what you don't want to be going forward, right? So, yeah, I just don't know if that helped or not, but yeah. It's kind of case by case, too.
That's a good question. Any other questions for John at the moment? Yes, Paul.
John, you're deeply motivated for values, which is really extraordinary. Caring about humanity and the team and everything. So what are the things that really solidified your sense of values?
So you're deeply motivated by values. You care about humanity. What are some of those values that are motivating you? Did I do that okay?
That's good. And where did those come from?
And where did those come from? I added the hands. Where did those come from? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm motivated to see. And it's my why, right? I want to motivate and inspire people every day to be the best they can be, because they can make positive change in this world. And you can do that one person at a time. Where did it come from, Paul? I have no idea, but I know that when you're at a company that values things like environment and people and community, you tend to by osmosis get some of that into your blood, right? I mean, one of our beliefs was nobody should ever be hungry. And if that sounds familiar, that's because that's an Oregon Food Bank thing. Nobody should ever be hungry. And we were a food company that was producing, basically hundreds of millions of pounds of food a year. We probably shipped, 1.5 million pounds of food a year to the Oregon Food Bank, and we should do more. We could have done more. We should have done more, because they need it, and we're a food company, and we could do that, right? There's easy things you can do to really become engaged with your passion or with who you are internally, right? So, yeah.
I thought you were going to say it was because of your wife. And she inspired you.
Well, she's the primary motivator behind me. Yeah.
I thought that's where we were going.
Yeah.
Maybe next question. Yes. Yeah, this is a good question. I like this question. So he said he went and he checked out the website, and the charitable giving, the food bank giving program ended in 2017, which he found very curious. And he's just wondering if maybe you have any advice for rapidly growing founders, so how they can bake in some of those really important programs to make sure that it survives the acquisition. Is that? Yeah.
So it survives that? Yeah. Boy, that's a dang good question. Like in our situation, I would have thought that would have carried through because it was in the DNA there. Yeah. And they're doing their corporate giving, but it all originates out of somewhere in Camden, right? It's not local. It's not on the ground, right? So, the best. I don't know how you bake that in because honestly, it was in our DNA of all of our employees. We actually gave people time. You could take your department over and pack food boxes today for 2 hours. Go. That kind of thing. And then the food boxes would go to the schools and wherever else we were trying to give this stuff. So the best you could do is, I think, try and bake it into the DNA of the employees, whatever it is, right, as soon or as quick as you can, and make sure it's not shallow, and then hope for the best. And then you got to qualify the acquirer, but you can't. I hate to say you can't trust them, but you can't trust them. Just
yeah.
And it's not a negative against Campbell's. It just basically.
It's just how it is.
Happens, right? It's the people that we dealt with changed over. They got to defocus. They lost us. They went into a thing where they had way overspent on acquisitions, and they had to retrench, and all these things go to the wayside. The best intentions kind of thing. So, and with the bigger they are, the more that will most likely happen. So you need to spend a lot of time with the right acquirer, and they were the highest offer, but they did it for a lot of reasons that weren't just for the value of us. I mean, if they were buying us on our, you guys could have probably guessed that. If they were trying to buy us on our EBITDA, I don't even know how they did that calculation, because we spent all of our money on everything and tried to get it as low as possible. So at the end, this is now a financial spin up. At the end, trying to build your financials so they actually look pretty for people. You had to add stuff back in and do the hooey on it. But at the end of the day, what they bought was the brand, right? But the brand, and what I don't think sometimes the companies that buy you understand that. What are they buying? What is the brand? The brand starts with the people and the culture and the products and all of that together, kind of glued together. And they just don't get that. So then they start parting it apart, and it starts drifting. Like, integral part of us was charitable giving, huge, and now they decouple that. It's like, So the message it sends to the 600 employees that were left, big message, right? So yeah.
Yeah. So vague threats.
Yeah. Vague
threats. I always say, when in doubt, vague threats. Any other questions for John tonight? I want to make sure. Okay, but you've had an extraordinary career. What's been your favorite part, your highlight?
I'm really jazzed up when I see people kind of get it, right? Like employees, yeah. and see their development. It's just and that they can do more, yeah.
Well, that's okay. I want to make sure. Any other questions before I? Okay, this has been truly a gift. Thank you for sharing yourself with us. And 50% or less. 50% or less, I would say. And we do have a gift for you. I'm told you can use it as. How about a round of applause? You can use it to vaguely threaten somebody, or you can just bring it back to the next pub talk and we'll fill it up with bone broth or whatever, veggie stock. Thanks, John. Thanks so much. How about some more love for Mr. John? Really spectacular. Thank you for sharing with us tonight. Okay, so we have a lot. Oh, hold on. Let me have these two. Let me just keep those. And he's giving me the hook. Wow, I didn't see that coming. We have a lot coming up, y'all. This is very exciting. So first up, I personally have my first large-scale live comedy show coming up in years. Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited. We have an excellent lineup. It's happening at the Tower Theater. It's called She Stands Up. It benefits local communities. It's on May 14th. You can get tickets, virtual or in-person tickets, on the Tower website. Thank you. I'd love to see you there. Also, we have some Edco events, too. REDI's annual luncheon is on May 18th at the fairgrounds. That's going to be a big luncheon. Visit their website to reserve your spot and to hear from our local companies and supply chain. We also will be back here for PubTalk on May 26th. I can't wait to see you again. And then we'll gear up for Edco's largest event of the year, the Edco Annual Luncheon on June 13th, Monday, June 13th. And we're gonna pack the River House. It always fills up, so get your tickets as soon as they're noticed. Keynote speaker Margot Downs, not to miss. She is incredible. I'm really looking forward to her. And also I hear that the MC for that event is hot, hot, hot. So keep an eye out. Now, a reminder, trivia is outside. If you're not yet ready to head home, you can head out to the tent. If you'd like to continue mingling, head back over next door to the food room where you checked in. So you, Silver Moon, our friends here are setting up for a concert tonight, so we want to get out of their way. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you to each of the presenters for being willing to take the stage, and to the Edco staff for continuing to make the PubTalk magic happen. May the 4th be with you next week. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I'll see you next time. Thanks, y'all.